So I think this is the last stories from Hole I want to tell. I tried to tell this story a couple times and it never worked out, but somebody asked me the other day who's the most memorable person I met on my trip, and I think that person would have to be, I met this gentleman in Long Beach named Ron Francis Quinn. I believe that's his name. And he's like maybe in his 50s, maybe early 60s, like guy. I was in Long Beach. I just ridden in, and I was like near the beach, and I was it was still kind of early, maybe around 5 or 6 o'clock, and I was looking for a place to sleep, where I was going to sleep that night. I couldn't find any place to stay in town that night, and I just wanted to find a place to sleep so I could kind of move on. I was in a rush to get to LA because I wanted to see my friends and whatever, and I didn't perform there nearly as much as I should have. But Long Beach is a little bit of hoity-toity. Like pretty much all of SoCal is a little bit of hoity-toity, at least in that area. If I would have gone inland more, near like maybe like the inner city, because I remember thinking at the time, like, this is where Snoop Dogg is from. This is really like bougie, but you know, whatever. So, but anyway, I'm just standing there. I saw this theater some weird theater, so I went to check it out. And this guy comes up behind me and starts talking to me, and it's Ron, and he's got a bike like me, kind of dusty looking guy, little small guy, silver hair and a beard, and just the sweetest guy you ever seen. The sweetest, like, so big saucer eyes that he had. And he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And started telling me a little bit about his story. About, you know, he's this guy who he sort of remembers that he had been working somewhere in like somewhere, I think in Utah, as a mechanic, and I don't know if he was a street person. I don't know, at one point he ended up on the street, but he was riding his bicycle at some point and got hit by a car and woke up in the hospital, and his best friend that he was living with and his aunt, who was pretty much his only family he had left, came to visit him, and he couldn't remember them. He had no idea who they were. He had amnesia and still has it, and only remembers in small bits and pieces about his life, but still doesn't remember his aunt or his best friend. And you know, he's just telling me the story about himself and how he'd also discovered while he was in the hospital that he had cancer. I think like pancreatic cancer or something, but he had some internal cancer going on, so he was sick. He's living out on the street. His arm had been really severely shattered by the accident with the car, and he showed me this like Iron Man kind of doodad he had in his arm, this like huge brace like that he walked around with, and he needed it for his arm to function. And he just told me, man, he just seemed like he was living such a hard life. Like all these people, these street people live such hard lives, and I don't know, we don't give them a second look, but I mean, they're people. And you know, this guy was so sweet and told me about how, you know, he believed in God and how he prayed a lot, and you know, that God took care of him, and so sweet. And we, you know, he convinced me to go and perform, so we went out someplace on a pier, and I did a Hamlet scene for some kids that he found for me, and you know, and that was real fun, and we just ended up hanging out together all night. And you know, I walked with him while he looked for snipes, which are little half-smoked cigarettes that he would take and smoke, and you know, he'd ask for a little money to get his little beer, and help me to find some food and get money for that, and just walked around. He told me a lot about his life, and he would, while we were talking, he would remember things, like really personal things all of a sudden, and that he hadn't remembered before. Like he remembered right in front of me that he had buried his dad, and after his dad died, and he just starts crying, or at different points he remembers stuff, and he'd look at me and be like, "Hey man, are you an angel? You're an angel, man. Don't you lie to me, man. I know it, man. You're an angel. How am I? I didn't remember all this until just now, man. Why am I telling you this? You must be an angel." And you must be an angel, man. And I'm just giving you a bad time, man. I'm just funning you, but seriously, man, why am I remembering all this stuff right now, man? Are you an angel? And you would just go on like that and tell me all these crazy stories about things that he remembered. And he hung out with me till real late, and then he showed me a spot. Like he would, you know, it's illegal to sleep on the beach in Long Beach. It's a beautiful beach out there, but it's illegal to sleep on it. But he had this spot and like these grooves in the sand that he would hide in and sleep, and the security couldn't see him, you know. And so he showed me his little secret spot, and that's where I slept that night. I woke up the next morning on the beach in Long Beach, you know. And Francis and I went from there, and we went to a shelter, and we got breakfast, which was like canned beef stew, which I wasn't too keen on, but you know, it was like it was breakfast, you know. And Francis really looked out for me, and he was really sweet and really kind, and it makes me sad every time I think about it, because I don't think I'll ever see him again. I sat there while he called his best friend and his aunt to let them know where he is. It was the night before, to let them know where he is and that he's okay. Out of courtesy and kindness, he calls them, even though he still doesn't remember who they are, but he knows that they're worried about him. So anytime he gets to a phone, he'll call them. And I sat there and listened to them call them and talk to them. And I don't think I'm ever going to see him again. I left him my card with my number and told him, give me a call every once in a while, but I don't think I'm ever going to see him again. I should try to Google him and look him up and see if I can find him. Or anyway, but I just want to tell the story about that guy, because he was so sweet and so kind, and a God-fearing man, and really loving, and really treated me like his little brother or a good friend, and we'd never met before. And he rode a bike just like me, and was a really fast rider for being so old. But he was like, I'm fast, man, I'm really fast. And he really was. Anyway, that's it. That's the last story from the whole, I think, that I've got. So, yeah, Speare out. God bless you.